Ladies, welcome back to my channel. So I know it has been a while since I last made a video, and if you follow me on social media or if you have eyes and you see that I had my baby. I had my baby on June 12th, Friday at 4:01 p.m. and y'all, it was more than just a doozy. So y'all know me, y'all know I'm real, y'all know I'm raw, y'all know I'm uncandid. So if you are looking for a story of labor and delivery that is just like that, straight up, no chaser, but no extra shit either, because some of y'all was a little, hyping things up, keep on watching this video. All right, so I tried to position my camera so that she can be in frame. If you don't know her, this is my daughter, my baby. Oh, girl, what's that noise? Her name is Worthy Bryn and Branford, and born on June 12th, 4:01 p.m. So, let me just say, she was born a week early. Her original due date was June 19th. 37 weeks. I was already a ½ centimeter dilated, and at that time, my doctor performed a procedure called a membrane sweep. Now, I know the procedure is to help soften the cervix so that it will go ahead and begin thinning, but I don't understand. I don't know the exact terminology, so I will leave the definition down below of what exactly a membrane sweep is. So I had one performed at 37 weeks, and I had it done on a Thursday, so it was probably like June 3rd. And then on June 6th, I was starting to, I had issues. I felt like I didn't feel her all day, like she wasn't kicking all day. And I think this was maybe... Did I go in? Maybe I went in the Friday after he did the membrane sweep, because like I said, I wasn't feeling her move around. I was just a little bit worried. So I went into labor and delivery, and I was starting to have like kind of false contractions. They wanted to peak up high, but they would just fall back down, is basically what the nurse explained to me. I remember this was on June 6th, so 6 days before she was born. So they basically sent me home. Fast forward to the next week, June the 11th, I went into my 39th week appointment. And to my surprise, I was suffering from a little bit of elevated blood pressure. Now, for me, I think my pressure was somewhat in like 188 over 60. It was high. It was definitely high for me. I know that that's like a range that may not be considered that high, but for me it was extremely high. And he basically told me that based on my pressure, I was going to be induced that Monday. So this was Thursday. He was telling me that I was definitely going to have a scheduled induction on Monday, because he was concerned that my blood pressure was just going to keep rising and rising. And that wouldn't have been good for her. So he let me know that. I was kind of bummed because I really wanted to go into labor naturally. Now, he performed another membrane sweep. It is a process that they say, depending on who you talk to, the labor may not have been 100% natural because you got the membrane sweep done, but I wanted something to help the process. I felt like I did my research and it wasn't anything that was dangerous to me or baby, so I was comfortable doing the membrane sweep. Had that done, he told me, hey, do you want to go, this is my doctor anyway, do you want to go ahead and head over to the hospital right now to be induced to start the induction? I think he wanted me to be admitted to start the induction process Friday. I don't know. But he basically let me know right then and there, do you want to go? And I'm like, no, I want to really try to see if I can get labor going naturally. Now, mind you, this was Thursday. I only had until Monday to get labor going naturally, and I didn't have a lot of time, as you can see. He told me, okay, because I really like you, I really like Kai, I'm going to go ahead and let you do this. But, definitely on Monday, we're doing the scheduled induction. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I went home. I went to go get my nail fixed first. And then I was like looking up things I could do. I happened to go to the Amish market that day, so I got some pineapple juice. I drank pineapple juice. I went on a walk. I walked the day before that. And I was doing like trails, like up and down elevations and stuff like that. And then Thursday we went walking. Me and Kai, we went walking like 30 minutes. And I did a procedure called curb walking, which basically you just take one foot and you like walk on the curb. So it's like you're walking unevenly. I did that. We kept walking around a track. We walked around the track 6 times. And then there was like a little strip of sidewalk about yee long. And I did that every single time, 6 times. In addition to that, I was bouncing on my pregnancy ball, which I'm kind of bummed out because I did not use that ball nearly as much as I thought I was going to use it. I thought I was going to be leaned over on it and like holding it up and doing all these nice positions during labor, but instead I was on the floor howling like a bear or a wolf or some type of wild animal. It wasn't pretty at all. But anyways, y'all, I did all these things on Thursday and, you know, still really nothing, no major contractions, no bleeding after the membrane sweep. Now, what I think it was that just sent me into labor, all of that in mind too, because I don't know, was it a combination of all of it or was it just this one thing, right? I read somewhere that you could try, well, not somewhere, I read it in one of my Facebook groups that I love, that you could try to pump your breasts and the nipple stimulations will start contractions. Now, you need to know something about this disclaimer. They say that these contractions, sorry y'all, that's my pump time alert. They say that these contractions can be harder than actual real labor contractions, right? Like when your body naturally goes into labor without doing anything. So keep that in mind. And sometimes it doesn't even start labor, y'all. You will just be contracting and then you'll have to wait for those contractions to go down. And that's basically it. Well, anyways, I pumped and I started to physically, like maybe 5 or 6 minutes into doing it on one breast, I was starting to feel like mild stomach ache, basically. And then I stopped and then it went away. And then I tried the other breast and I started to feel the same thing. I stopped and it went away. So I said, okay, maybe I need to go past 6 minutes. So I did about 8 minutes on one breast and then I felt a big contraction, right, y'all? The biggest one I had ever felt. So I'm like, okay, maybe this means something is starting, but it has to be consistent. Waited. 15 minutes later, there was another one. Then 10 minutes later, there's another one. So I'm like, okay, I'm contracting. These contractions are getting strong. This is feeling pretty intense, y'all. The contractions got harder and harder and harder and harder. So about midnight, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I went to the hospital. I called my doctor. They basically told me, okay, contractions starting, going to labor and delivery. At the time, they were timing out, keep this in mind, y'all, about 5 or 6 minutes apart, right? And then there were some contractions that were just spotted. It would be like 8 minutes apart. Then it would drop back down to the 5 minutes. Then it would drop to 4 minutes. So in this time frame where I was having the nipple stimulation contractions, let's call it that, it was doing these sporadic type of contractions, but they were intense. I go into labor delivery. They admit me. They have me sit down, whatever. They tell me, well, they're monitoring me for a little bit. And y'all, I don't know what it was about being monitored, but I think because I had to lay on my back and I could not contract laying on my back. I had to either be sitting up or like on my stomach, hunched over in, like, you know, when you're hunched over on your knees on the floor, like child's pose, I guess I would describe it. That's how I had to deal with my contractions. Well, they wanted me to lay on my back so that they can monitor her heartbeat and they can monitor the contractions, see how intense they were, y'all. And I kept getting up and up and up off the table. I finally asked to walk around for a little bit. And they were like, okay, well, if you're going to walk around, just keep in mind, this is labor and delivery. And there are mothers who just delivered children and there are children sleeping. And you can't be in those halls. yelling because y'all was like a cat dying in an alley, okay, in the summer heat. Well, they basically told me, you're 1 centimeter, you're still too far off. You're gonna have to go ahead and go home. You could be starting labor. The nurse told me, I don't doubt that you won't. I actually feel like you're gonna be back in a couple of hours. And I'm just like, she's like, it could be a couple of hours, but it could be a couple of days too. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, the nipple stimulation started the contractions, but they are eventually going to go away because that's what it said, that if it wouldn't knock your body into real labor, that you'll just have to wait. The contractions will go away. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to go home and it's going to get better. And I said, can I take anything? Because, you know, these are feeling really bad. They told me to take Benadryl, and if I had Tylenol at home, I could take Tylenol. So I took a Benadryl and Tylenol, y'all. Now, normally that combination would have had me knocked out, but it didn't do anything. So from that night on, I went home about 3:30 in the morning. From 3:30 all the way into the next morning at 10 o'clock, I was in labor at home. And I did not know, y'all. I did not know. I actually, when I came home, I was on the couch. Kai was on the couch. Kai went to sleep. Absolutely understand her going to sleep because, you know, labor is just such a long process, and by it only being able to be me and her, there was no one to give her any type of relief. So I needed her to get that rest, because had I would gone into labor, we don't know how many hours it would have lasted or anything like that. So I needed her to be that person for me. Well, basically, I labored all night and all through the morning. Morning time came. Kai finally wakes up. This is about maybe 8:30. We're having contractions. The contractions are coming every 5 minutes, then every 4 minutes. I look over at Kai, and it's like a little bit after 9, and I tell her, I'm like, listen, I think I need to go back to labor and delivery. She looks at me and she's like, well, I don't know. Maybe the contractions have to get stronger. I'm like, these contractions are getting stronger. They're getting more intense. I am feeling like I'm in a lot of pain. I said, I want to at least call my doctor and let him know, listen, I will do the scheduled induction today, but something has to happen now. She's like, okay, well, they open up at 10. We waited until 10. We called my doctor. They basically told me, okay, go ahead and come in again. I go back to labor and delivery. I have to go through the emergency room, go through the elevator process, and I have to be in the wheelchair in the elevator like you're bumping, and I'm having a contraction. It's bad. So I get back to the exam room. I do the same thing. I wiped. And at this point, just to get a little graphic, I noticed that my mucus plug had definitely came out, and there was some bleeding. So, and I mean, it was a lot. It was so much. I asked the nurse, I'm like, she was waiting for me to come back in another room. I'm like, excuse me, you know, is this normal? You know, I don't know if this is what's supposed to be happening. She's like, oh yes, you know, this is normal. When you have a baby, there's a lot of liquids that are about to pour out of you. A lot of liquid everywhere, basically. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, get back on the exam table. Doctor comes in. I don't even think that they set up the heart. No, they didn't. I don't remember them setting up the heartbeat. Yes, they did. They set up the heartbeat and the contractions, but y'all, the doctor came in there so quick, I didn't have no wait time. So the doctor comes in. He's like, I'm gonna hope that you're at least at 5 centimeters. You know, we go ahead and get this baby out of you today. I'm like, yeah, crossing my fingers. Thinking to myself, I probably ain't going to be but 2 or 3 centimeters, but I'm praying that they will go ahead and admit me because I am in so much pain. He examines me, and y'all, he tells me I am 6 centimeters dilated. So at 1:30 in the morning, I was 1 centimeter dilated. 9 hours later, at 10 o'clock, I was now 6 centimeters dilated. So this is how fast it can go for you ladies. I'm definitely being admitted at this point. So now everyone's scrambling around. They're trying to get me admitted, trying to, you know, have me test. I had to do a test for COVID. I had to sign paperwork for my epidural because I was definitely doing an epidural at that point. I had just labored by myself in my daughter's nursery on her pink floor. Wait till I tell you this story. Bend over for 14 hours. I was having an epidural. But anyways, I'm waiting. They get me into the actual delivery room because they're like, you're delivering this baby today. I'm like, okay, bet. This is all happening. And it's about 11 o'clock now, I guess. And I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'm gonna have this baby in about another 12 hours or so, you know, middle of the night type of thing. Yeah. Well, y'all, when I tell you I had the epidural, which I'm pretty sure there was a student doing my epidural because it took 30 freaking minutes. She kept pricking me and prodding me in my freaking back. I know I'm going to have permanent back issues. You are very welcome, girl. You're very I know I'm going to have permanent back issues from this probably. But it is what it is. So I have my epidural and this is now about 2:30. Well, now I'm at 7 centimeters. So they're like, okay, everything's progressing. Everything's going along. At some point between 2:30 and actually delivering my baby, my doctor went ahead and broke my water. My water breaks. Everything starts to just go crazy. So once my water breaks, that's when everything starts to progress immediately. Next thing I know, the doctor comes back and tells me, you're at 10 centimeters, you're ready to push. He puts me up in a squatting position because he wants the baby to go ahead and drop down and let this process happen as naturally as possible. He wants me to sit in this position and begin practicing to push for about 30 minutes. So this is what I'm doing every time I feel in the contraction. And finally, my epidural is starting to kick in because at first I wasn't feeling my epidural at all. I was still feeling my contractions pretty bad to have had epidural. But finally at this point, thank goodness, the epidural was kicking in. So I'm practicing pushing. Like he's basically like, pretend like you have like gas and you're going to push hard. I'm practicing this with Kai for 30 minutes. He comes in, he's like, okay, we're ready to push. He says, all right, do me a favor. I want you to put your legs up in the stirrups and I want you to do one practice push for me. I do this practice push, y'all. Practice, y'all. Because he's like, I know you're strong and, you know, I think that this baby's going to get out of you easy. Do the practice push and he's like, stop. I'm like, what? It's like, okay, the baby head is coming out. He starts calling everybody to come on in, it's time. All right, I'm holding these bars. He tells me, you know, once the next contraction comes, we're going to go ahead and push again. This is going to be the real push now, right? Go ahead, I'm holding my breath. The contraction comes, I push. I see Kai. Kai's like, oh my goodness, because she can see all of her hair already, y'all. Do another push, the baby is out. So it was literally 2.5 pushes and I pushed this baby right out of me. I didn't feel absolutely anything at that point. I am definitely attributing that to that epidural, okay? Yeah. So 2.5 pushes and she was out. Overall, I will have to say, and this is going to sound super cliche, once you have your baby, like you don't feel the pain anymore. Like it's the strangest thing. I can't even really describe. If I had to describe what does labor feel like, what does contractions feel like, it felt like someone, you know when you get your blood pressure taken? So it feels like that type of intensity, that type of pressure, and then just sharpness at the same exact time. That's the only way I can describe it, because you feel your stomach starting to tighten, and then when it can't get tight anymore, you just feel a sharp, jaggering pain. But really, like, remembering the exact pain, or remembering like, oh my god, this pain was so excruciating, like, no, I don't remember it in that way now that I have her. And she was born so perfect and so healthy, and I would definitely do everything all over again to have this little one and to be her mommy. Yeah, I hope that y'all enjoyed my labor and delivery story. I think it was pretty enjoyable. And like I said, I was very, very, very candid about what the process is like. So share with me below your labor and delivery stories. How many hours were you in labor? Did you have, were you getting sent home before? How many hours did you labor at home? Did you labor by yourself? Did you labor with someone? I want to know, and I'm very interested, and I love reading those types of stories. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to thumbs up. And also, if you want to follow me and Baby Worthy on a daily basis, be sure to check out both of our Instagrams. Mine's I Paint Pretty Faces, hers Worthy Bryn, and those will be down in the description box. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. All right, now see y'all in the next video. Until then, stay pretty.